I recently rode the Lodija bike race. It's the single longest bike race in North America. You cover 200 plus miles over 3 mountain passes, just under 10,000 feet of elevation gain in one day. It's a fun but brutal ride. I've ridden it successfully several times. However, this year I did not achieve my goal. So as I reflect on this race, I learned a lot about setting, working towards, and achieving goals. So I'd like to share with you just a few lessons that I learned. I needed motivation to get back on my bike after a long hiatus. So I needed something to motivate me to get back into shape. So I needed some sort of a goal to be looking forward to. So 3 friends and I decided and agreed together and committed that we were going to ride Lodija. Well, the first lesson is really quite simple and easy. You will never achieve a goal that you don't set. Goals give us motivation to employ effort. Without them, we're likely to just be stagnant. And sharing your goal or doing with others keeps you motivated to keep at it. The first leg of this race is always the hardest for me because you are riding with 50 other riders in a peloton that you've never ridden with before. And the first part is actually in the dark. The excitement of the race quickly gives way to 2 major challenges. The first challenge is you don't get the benefit of drafting if everyone in the group is not on the same page. If you've never cycled, you probably don't understand the huge advantage it is to draft behind someone, especially in a large group. And a group that is not organized misses opportunity to cover more ground quickly and with less effort. When you set goals for your team, it is important to get everyone on the same page as quickly as possible. Don't take shortcuts and start working towards the goal until everyone on the team understands it and is bought into it. Starting out before everyone is on the same page will slow how quickly you will make progress on your goal, and it's a killer of momentum. The second challenge of a group who isn't used to riding with each other is that, let's just say, the margin of error is very, very, very small. All it takes is someone to take their eye off the rider in front of them. They reach for their water, they're daydreaming. Maybe they slow too quickly and the guy behind them runs into them. When that happens, 1, 2, or many riders will go down. It's happened every time I've done this event, and this year was no different. We had a couple go down in that first leg of the race. Another real problem of not having your team on the same page is leaving someone behind because they don't understand the goal or their part in achieving it. They can feel lost, inadequate, or unappreciated, and when they feel that way, you are missing out on their perspective, their creativity, and efforts to help make the goal. Don't leave anybody behind. The second leg of this race has the longest of 3 mountain passes you have to climb, 26 miles. This mountain separates that initial peloton, and in fact, has separated our friend group as well. Fortunately, we had the experience to know that everyone has their strengths. Some are good at climbing hills, others are good on the flats or flying downhill. What you find is it's okay that not everyone has the same skill set. Each one will utilize their strength at different times during the race. Similarly, when you are working towards a goal, you have your core strengths that will push your goal forward quicker, and you have areas that you are weaker in that may slow momentum. But slowing the momentum is not the same as stopping it. Know that when you have times you feel you are not making as great progress as you would like, that you will also have times of greater momentum when utilizing your strengths. This will help keep discouragement at bay. This is a great time to share that between each leg of the race are support and feed stations. Now, some of these stations are supported by the race organizers, and others are supported by your own support crew that you put together. And these stations are used to fuel up, to get supplies for the next leg, and to receive encouragement to keep going. It is critical when you set goals to include mentors and supporters who know what you are trying to achieve, will come alongside you to encourage you when you're discouraged, and provide advice and resources to help you achieve your goal. Well, about 70 miles into the race, I strained a hamstring muscle trying to catch a group. So I had to ride very slow and solo for several miles until I came to the next feed station. 2 of my friends were already at that feed station, and so we then were able to ride together for several miles after that leg. And from that, I was able to get great encouragement from them, and it's a lot easier to ride with a group, so I made a lot more progress. There are going to be times when you are trying to achieve your goals that you need to rely on others. That is part of smart execution. Not being a lone ranger will help you achieve your goals more often and quicker. It is also a lot more enjoyable and rewarding accomplishing something together. I rode the next 100 miles of this race with new energy and with a good pace. I was full of confidence, and then I hit a wall. I started to pay the price for not training well for this race. I hadn't ridden in 5 years, and I didn't do the necessary weight training and endurance training that was necessary to finish this race well. The reality is that we often don't prepare well enough to achieve our goals. We need to make sure all our resources, players, and communication are in place so we won't stall our progress later. Good preparation time and understanding the challenges up front will greatly increase the probability of you making your goals. I realized when I pulled into the second to the last feed station that I was not going to be able to complete the race in the allotted time. I had a choice to make. Do I just quit now, or do I finish riding? Well, I decided to continue riding and at least complete the distance. When you realize you may not make your goal, you need to fight discouragement and persevere. Keep moving forward. You may not achieve the goal you set for yourself, but you will definitely achieve more than you will if you stop. That old saying, shoot for the sun and you may hit the moon, is actually not a wise saying. That typically means you set an unrealistic goal. However, there are times you set realistic goals, but circumstances, challenges, both in and out of your control, and just life get in the way of achieving it. That's okay. Persevere. Okay, I'm going to admit, that last 40 miles of that race for me was very hard. My buddies were well ahead of me. I had to ride solo. The last feed station had closed before I got there, and now the sun went down, and it was very dark. Luckily, I have a bike light. I turned it on and I could see about 20 feet in front of me, which slowed my pace, but I was still able to move along at a pretty good clip. Then about 3 miles before the finish line, the battery on my light gave out and it was pitch dark. I could barely see a foot in front of my bike. I had to stop. Well, finally, I realized that I had my phone with me. So I rode the last 3 miles of the race using my cell phone flashlight. Sometimes you just have to be resourceful when trying to make your goals. Challenges will come up, but try not to let them derail you. Plan on those challenges coming up and persevere. Instead, get creative about how you still might achieve them. Well, I finally made it. The race had been closed for over an hour. There were no lights at the finish line. In fact, there were a couple personnel tearing down the arch and the time clock. It was not a glorious finish by any means. But in the distance, I heard cheering, and that cheering was from my wife, who was my support crew and, let me say, has always had my back and always been my cheerleader. It was also my friends and their support crew had all waited for me at the finish line to celebrate me crossing the now not so obvious imaginary finish line. Even when we don't achieve the actual goal we set out to accomplish, there's always something to celebrate. Celebrate what you did accomplish. Celebrate what you learned that will make it easier to achieve the goal the next time. Celebrate the effort and perseverance. Celebrate those that are in your corner. There is always something to celebrate and learn. Setting goals and working towards them is actually far more than just achieving the goal. I know it seems more rewarding when you actually achieve the goal. However, I would argue that when you don't achieve that goal, but you have actually put the effort and perseverance and you worked on the challenges of that goal, that you actually fail forward. You take what you've learned from not making that goal and put it towards and the energy towards the next goal, adding texture to it and motivation and resources so that you're more likely to actually achieve the next goal you make. So go set some goals and enjoy what you learn from the journey as much as you do from achieving it. Again, my name is Tom Porter. I'm with Atomic Consulting. Until next time.